Welcome back to the Lost Beat 6 show. We're glad you're here. It's this is the big one of the big ones. Maybe it's like, it doesn't get much bigger than like Father Time. And of course I'm saying that with, you're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's Father Time. We're continuing making the scene, our mini series of a show here on PLaNETS, the band from Alhambra. And we have with us today the one, the only, I think it's the only, Father Time, who is this is one I've been waiting for a long time. One of the main points I did this podcast was to talk to Father Time. With all respect to everybody who's been on the show, I think they would agree in saying that this is the real deal. Anyway, he's been one of the, before I knew Father Time before I knew Adam Stillwell in this whole thing. So that's how important this guy is, and this entity is. So anyway, it's been a long time coming. Very highly anticipated episode of making the scene PLaNETS edition, and we're gonna get to you. We're gonna get that show to you after these few messages. Okay, now we got that out of the way. We have, if you didn't know yet, we're trickling in singles from the Psychedelic Space Beef Band, and we're working on some other things. We do have a date. Yes, we do. We have a date for the album, the big release, the highly anticipated by us and no one else, Beefin' Around the World. It's happening. We're super excited about it. June 4th, it's coming out. We have artwork. We're going to make trailers. We're going to spend a fractional amount of money that we can afford to put out to make sure people kind of get a hold of this thing. Cause it's just like our behemoth of a albatross that we're really excited to get done. So there is going to be a literary accompaniment that we're still working on. So we're going to like reverse market this shit. So we're going to basically like put the album out because like no one knows who we are. If you were listening at home and you're like, who are you? Who are you? And why am I listening to this? I thought this was like something else. I thought this was a thing on astronomy because I think PLaNETS shows up a lot. But we're here. This is Lost Beat 6. This is the Lost Beat 6 show. And we are here to share our joy of the beefin' lifestyle and the concept record that is Beefin' Around the World by the Psychedelic Space Beef Band is the musical embodiment of a tradition set by guys like, I don't know, Socrates, Hemingway, fucking Kerouac, rest in peace, because that dude, I just finished his book. I just finished a biography on his book, and it's that dude. That's tragic. But we're talking like Hunter S. Thompson stuff here. We're in wild, crazy, paint the streets red, live life, from our, currently from our bedrooms. But it's a whole thing. The point is we're really excited to put this record out, and so we have a date. We'll be putting out pre-save stuff, whatever those things are, and we're gonna have a set an ad campaign. But I do want to stress that this stuff is the album is coming. We're really happy with it. I know a lot of the we've been kind of leaking it to friends that listen to the show and friends that are friends of ours that we've kind of that have shown a hint of interest, and so we've been really happy with what people thought of it. Anyway, there'll be more of an effort to talk more about that. We'll have Terry Gross come on and interview the band. There's Dr. Fun is in there, Denim Emperor's in there. And if you listen to our beef sessions on Fridays and the weekends, it's our weekend edition, that's a better chance to get to know who the hell we are. So we hope you go check that out. And I really hope, please, we hope you dig it. Anyway, Father, back to the business at hand. Father Time. I don't know. It's not much to explain what the fuck this guy is, but basically he is, or what is very hard to explain who Father Time is in the relationship to planets. And it's going to be kind of an interesting deal. I had to ask him a couple times myself. I go, what is this? Because I thought he was more of a sort of philosophic kind of embodiment sort of thing about passage of time, but he kind of leans on the more spiritual side, which is really cool. I wasn't exactly expecting it, but it turned out to be pretty cool. I tried to like, give him a couple curveballs, and he took them pretty well, and he made it entertaining. So he would describe himself as the Big F.T describes himself as a brutal, impersonal force from inside your mind, a living Pandora's box, and a quantum Taoist stand-up comedian. And you'd find him basically kind of warming up crowds for these crazy planet shows that you'd see, and hosting his own specials on Christmas time and other times. I don't want to spoil anything. Anybody who knows this podcast and knows what we're talking about within this community, they kind of already know what I'm talking about. This is mostly for everybody else who stumbles on this show. So that's kind of why I'm bringing all that up. Anyway, you know him, you love him. Father Time.
I don't know if you're ready for what's about to happen, because I know I'm not.
I'm pretty sure I'll never be ready to meet Father Time.
Usually when people meet me, it's not under the best of circumstances, if you know what I mean.
I get you. Yeah, it's a tough job. Someone's got to do it. I mean, between you and the Reaper, right? Or is that
old Jack? I mean, well, it's the same. I mean, you could call me Jack. You could call me Father Time. I mean,
okay.
I could pull the old Scythe out. It's the same thing. It's all the same thing.
Well, I'm happy to have you, Mr. Time, on the show, and taking the you to make it here is awesome.
Oh, we're off and running.
Might as well. I mean, I'm just formalities
listen,
here.
We're not. Like I said, man. I am ready to go at a nanoseconds notice, man. This has been my tax season, I mean, I haven't had a pandemic since, oh God, it's just like zipping around. What
is 100 years though, man? Like,
we're kind of turning the corner now. Well, that's the thing. I mean, it'll be interesting speaking to you in that, you have the filter of, perceived, linear time where, while I'm doing this interview right now, I'm also rescheduling with you 2 weeks ago. So, I'm having a different experience over here.
I'm sure, I don't know if you bounce around in the multiverse either. But I'm sure there's a pandemic somewhere. It's like 5 o'clock.
Yeah. I mean, those parallel universes, those little blips, it's the same as it is here in that, I don't really have access to those versions of me, because at the center of, every cell is a vibration, so mm-hmm. The specific frequency that it takes for me to exist on this plane is specific to this plane. So I can't be hopping over to the other universes. I've side-eyed them at the beginning. I've experienced the splitting of myself into 10,000 different things, but there's not the ability for me to go be that other guy anymore. I mean, just like as an apple tree apples, I'm in this peopling universe and this planeting universe, and I'm experiencing it different, albeit, but the same as you, man.
Fair enough. I can dig it.
Is this how you expected this to start?
It is, actually. I'm really happy. Believe it or not.
I've been around the block, man. Like you said, I'm a brutal impersonal force from inside of your mind. And, that's my load to bear,
Yeah, I can't really relate to that. So sorry. Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here, though. It really
That's
is.
great. That's good, though. Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy you're happy. It's we got to do what we got to do here. Where do we want to start? I mean, we got. Where would you like to start?
Oh boy, I could give you my backstory. I mean, this is these PLaNETS cats, right? You want me to get? Do you want me to get into the journey of meeting them and how we began our work together? Because I'm 13.7666 billion years old. We could start at the top.
Yeah.
I was there. Listen,
I'll start a Big Bang, real or no?
Listen. The Big Bang is a concept. What happened? I was there. I touched the void. I witnessed the birth of non-being. And then the split of being and non-being and the creation of the 10,000 things, which is, what we most commonly refer to here as the present moment. It is a clear, open vessel for you to fill with your hopes and dreams and to eventually actualize the one life, or as many of us do, peruse the pages of cocktosterone.com and flip some apps and, go through a TikTok, which, I'm not in a legal battle with them, but I don't waste my time literally with, copywriting or registering these things. There's so much creativity going around.
And let me
tell you what, if you're clinging to registration papers and trademarks, when this whole thing comes crumbling down and you can't take that with you into the unmanifested, you're going to be frustrated, man. So save yourself the trubs.
Okay.
So yes.
Got that out of the way. Yeah. So
the Big Bang, man, the Big Bang.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, it was a lot of red. That's what I will say. It was a lot of the color red. And then those quarks started popping, man. Once you pop a quark up in this motherfucker, all hell breaks loose. You can't undo a quark. I'm telling you what, and that fucking cancel in the cancel culture of this universe, dark energy, dark matter, black holes, look the fuck out, man. They'll swallow you right up. Are we having fun yet?
Oh, I can't. This is It's like I said, there's a part of me that needs to be able to. Because there's only so much I can do that you're saying that I can comprehend, right? So
that's the thing, man.
If I space out, please forgive me, but
I can build a container around that for your audience, right? Because
I appreciate
if you're listening to what I am saying, right, and you're not understanding what I'm saying, it's probably because you're actually listening and hearing to what to the words that are coming out of my mouth. See, we're talking about the ineffable. So, I'm on a podcast speaking about the ineffable. So imagine how it feels for me, for God's sakes. Have some empathy, right? And understanding, right? Understanding is very overrated, man. Let me tell you what, as soon as you understand something, you suck the magic and the life right out of that fucking thing. As soon as you look at this fucking solid snake that's breathing in carbon and out oxygen, you call it a tree, you've lost the point of this whole fucking thing, man. This is the comedy section. I do the kind of stand-up you might want to sit down for. That's what I say.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. Well,
Right? I mean, for God's sakes.
It took me a sec. It took me a second because I was sitting down when you said that, and I
Yeah,
understand now
you're
why
ready.
you said
Yeah.
that. I was like I said, I'm somewhat prepared, but I can only do so much, right?
No, but
So-
we're having fun, man. We're playing
Oh,
jazz. That's what we're doing.
Yeah,
I'm
scatting away.
being a fucking concept, and the human mind, right? Like we were speaking about earlier, can the animal, right, it doesn't have to worry about this stuff. An animal is fully in the present moment. They are experiencing the essence of time. You're not walking by a rose bush and they're saying, "Hey, is my stem too fat in the bottom?" They don't. The rose is being a rose. But the human mind, which is most likely who's listening to this, unless you have a dog next to you, you can look at the dog, see the dog's perfectly serene. But I'm saying whoever's listening, right? But the human mind is a quilter that knows it's quilting a blanket, so it's very concerned with how it's stitching and how it's creating which patterns. But the beauty of a cloud or a flower or a dog is that they just pattern as they pattern, and they don't question it. They're absolutely in the moment and in the pocket. And that was part of my burden. If I can I go off on a tangent here, or do you want me to reel all this back?
Go for it, please.
So, I mean, part of my burden is, when it all started and it was like, okay, linear time, here we are, given the choice to be locked in a prison of their own past and future, because that's what, a lot of us do, is with that clear, luminous bowl that I talked about earlier, is we have one foot planted firmly in the future and one foot planted firmly in the past, and we're taking a big steaming dump inside of that bowl, So when I was given my burden, which was, these people are going to be so miserable with linear time that they will have no choice to actualize the one life and shed their identities, have empathy for the other person, realizing that they're just another energy vector trapped in a flesh suit, and harmony will be arrived at. But what I didn't plan on is that they choose the iPhone and the avatar. That was the surprising part.
Yeah, is that where we went wrong? Where do you think that was a core of? Like,
well,
where did we go wrong?
Wrong and right is that's a dualistic point of view. That's duality.
Where did we
there is no wrong or right.
Where did we askew?
I
where did we go gray?
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just the choice that was made. It wasn't that it was wrong or right. Like the chance to arrive at absolute peace and harmony is available only in the present moment. And the access to that is available to anyone at any time. And the fact that nobody chooses that is what surprises me. And there's nothing wrong with it, because there's nothing wrong with it, because you can zippity-doo-dah all around and play the identity game if it's fun to you, I mean, and it is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So why the hell not? But, I'm always surprised that, you see we could say evolution, perhaps. An evolved state of a reptile is a bird, Eventually they said, hey, I'm sick and tired of crawling around in this muck. They feathered up and they flew the fuck out of there, right? Now, human beings, their conscious budding of that flower is unmanifested as we know it on this planet on a grand scale. We see glimpses of it, and those glimpses usually end up nailed to crosses or built churches around, or, so the fact that that's available to everyone and we would consciously ignore that it's a wonderful part of this existence. There's no wrong with it.
You've hinted at two questions I have towards the end of this segment or end of this section.
Okay,
so
well,
I'm really excited to get to the end of it.
Well,
but
we can
not
reverse.
really, because I really want to keep this going. So yeah,
no,
that's
reverse.
a good teaser.
Let's back.
Yeah,
let's back.
That's a teaser, and we'll back up. And for the you being, we'll go ahead and talk about. You can mention how your vessel ran into the vessel you're currently occupying.
How this meat suit ran into PLaNETS. I mean,
yeah, please.
So like I mentioned, I bopped around for a couple bill, Mother Space, God, the space-time continuum. We keep it going one missionary position at a time. I love her. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. There was a brief period where I'm not going to go into that stuff, but we had we had our problems. My fault, right? Obviously. But I got carried away, man. It was a universe, man, And, Mother Space, God, she's the greatest, she's my rock. I'm her Gibraltar. I don't know what that meant, but hey, listen, here I am, I've always, the thing that I've always enjoyed about humans, on this earth tree that apples, like I said, the tree that apples, the earth that humans, I dig music. Like I said before, the center of every cell is a vibrate. This whole, we're so caught up currently in material. There's the whole materialistic movement, and they're discovering now with quantum physics that if you perceive a electron particle, you'll see an electron particle through a microscope. If you intend to perceive the wave, you'll see the wave. So everything is either a spike or an ocean, but the truth is it's a spiky ocean. It's both. So what I love about music is it's very much like the present moment in our lives. It is there in the instant it's there, and it's also gone in the instant it's gone. It is just as magical as the vibration of the energy vectors that are trapped inside of our flesh suits. So much of the material wants to say, like the materialist walks into a room with the TV that's playing Jerry Seinfeld and says, hey, let's tear up this TV and find Jerry. Now, you and I sit here and go, that's goddamn ridiculous, right? But this is what we do. Where the truth is that Jerry's being beamed in from some other place, more like an iCloud system. So, we beam ourselves into these places. And so music's always been attractive to me. Now, I got a taste of some commercial success. Legally, I have to say that this is all bullshit. Not a word of it's true, but it's true. I was a manager of a band called Mumford and Sons, or as I refer to them, Mumford and Sons of Bitches. Those banjo playing, they're off somewhere now, bumping taints in a hot tub. God bless them. But I took those little pea-brained bastards and I shot them straight to stardom. And I took a shit in one recording studio, one. And I'm out of the band, right? I'm back on my ass. So lesson learned, right? Right? You know what I mean? And so after that happened, I started doing some really dark, sinister shit, like building solar hospitals for children. And I was like, I've had enough of this, this is getting me nowhere. I got to get a band back together. Well, and that's where I met, Adam Stillwell. And I saw the creativity of, what was going on in the band. And I thought, this just could be a fit,
What was the appeal?
I mean, like the appeal to me is they were going out, I had saw them and there was dancing, there was shadow puppets, there was good vibe and music, and they were going out to this oddball, festival, right to the north of the border of Mexico, like dangerous, it's not dangerous, but it was wacky stuff. I thought, who's doing this? These are my people, you know? So they needed an MC, and I went out there and you know, I would go. So, you know, I'd go out there at the beginning of every show, and it's my job to wake people up inside of their bodies, you know? So when I did what I did and I didn't get kicked out of the band, that's when I knew I was in the right spot, you know?
Yeah. I think it was a good choice on their part and on your part as well. I mean, I did listen to the first Mumford and Sons record, and I got caught up in the what was the word? The irrational emotional effectiveness of the, you know, of the chord structures they were using. But I kind of got old fast, and I think it became as soon as I heard that second record, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's after they dumped the old FT. I tell you what. And
it was possibly
just hearing that name, it just sends me into a rage.
Well, I don't want to necessarily know what that's all about. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll keep continuing this the Planet story here with the
I mean, and so we met, and you know, I left the solar hospitals behind and fell into my true purpose, which was, you know, going into the belly of the beast and giving sermons on the mount. I mean, the wildest thing about all of this for me is, you know, going into a bar, doing what I do in a bar in that setting, when people have arrived for music is like serving a lasagna at a Mexican restaurant.
I think those are called enchiladas.
Right. But I mean, you can imagine if you ordered an enchilada and out comes the old spaghetti and meatballs, you'd be like, what's going on here?
Sure. Uh-huh.
So that it brought me a lot of joy to watch people's minds try to maneuver around what the words that were coming at them at the beginning of each show. And I think, you know, a wonderful part of it, I think at our best when we do shows, was that people would have, you know, a psychedelic kind of experience. And I think what I would do would like cleanse the palate, and kind of, it was almost like an expectations check for the show. Like, hey, whatever you thought you're going to come and see something else entirely is about to happen to you. And then so many times we'd get done with the show and people would be, you know, altered in some way, which I enjoyed.
I bet.
I hope that answered your question.
No, it does. Yeah, sorry, it does. No, it was good.
Yeah, I mean, in the chapter of all things, it was a good vibe, you know, like actual vibrations, a highly creative environment, and I also, you know, knew I learned from Mumford and Sons and Bitches, and you know, I decided, you know, to keep my thumb on these cats and made sure that they couldn't leave me behind. You know, it was I was trying to cultivate a toxic dependent relationship. No, I'm kidding.
I see.
That is a joke. It was actually the opposite. It was a very open, creative environment. You know, Stilly, that cat.
I thought they were toxically dependent upon you.
That's what I was hoping, but
yeah,
no, that's what I was aiming for. But then they constantly surprised me with their ability to shed a lot of their patterning and stay open to being collaborative, which I think is a difficult thing to do in a group of people, honestly. To stay truly inclusive and collaborative.
It's kind of the theme of this show, or this series we're doing on this exploration is kind of a
that's great.
What makes this work, and how does this how can other people find a way to do this in a very, you know, with the right timing, place, balance, people, sort of chemical thing.
Yeah, I really do think it. Oddly enough, it starts with the leadership, and not in the sense that we would think. Like, I think Stillwell, he was a leader in the way that he trusted everybody enough to know that they were going to give 110%, and that's a really that's a leader who doesn't have his hands firmly grasping the lemon and trying to squeeze every drop, but he trusts that every piece is like, case in point, like he didn't know what I'd say on that stage before every show, and so I'd show up the cosmic centipede. I'm in 10 different places, and he trusts me to go out there and, break people's minds a little bit, I mean, and that and the people in the band too, like my fellow collaborators, the things that I was saying at times they're not popular things for people to hear. So the fact that everybody found great joy in hearing them, I think showed the cosmic alignment there, that it was very supportive. And I think I always got a lot of joy when I would shock somebody by something I would say. And just that look on someone's face, it was like, opening your Christmas dildo, it was just it was nice. A wonderful feeling. Well, you've heard, that I have a Christmas special every year. And
this is actually how I found out. That was my opening experience, by the way, was the 2016 edition. So your specials have a very special part of this all happening.
Oh, was it joy or not? I mean, was there some joy to be found in that room?
It was like cathartic. it was a cathartic release. Actually, it was that year. I mean, we didn't know that the year 2020. We have a funny phrase. We have a thing where I said how they have that phrase. It's 2015. It's trying to get with the times. It's the current year. Let's get with the times. But anyway, I digress. We didn't know exactly what was down for 2020, and so 2016 was pretty rough for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons.
It was.
And I remember, and I may have mentioned this in previous pods, but I'll say it again. That was just after the election, but there was also, I don't know if you remember or heard about the story where there was an Oakland like art collective, like loft in this building that caught fire, and all these kids, and all those kids tragically, died in this art collective. And that was sort of and I kind of had moments where we were in Casey's and going, that just happened. This could be, that could be anyone. That could be any sort of group. And they were just there to have a good time and kind of feel things out. And that was a little bit of that was kind of weighing heavy on my mind, just because that's kind of a thing that would be, something I would want to be a part of. And I was looking for things like that. And when Zach and Dylan Zemed invited me to that show, that was sort of a moment where I go, whoa, this is something cool. There's something happening here that's very natural, very, the vibe is super positive. And that was not the one with the Christmas dildos, unfortunately. I wish it was. But I had to.
Yeah, I
was actually had to work a different gig that next year. So but anyway, I am very familiar with the Father Time specials that you've been gracing your name.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and and specific to those cats and that with the fire, it's like, yeah, man, they lost their bodies, but that's. This whole thing, man, nothing gets wasted out there. So just know that, and part of this whole thing is convincing ourselves that it's serious, and it is a dance, man. This is a comedy. Part of what I enjoy about the vibe you're talking about in those, in those shows that that are cultivated, is a great sense of a coming together. and I don't know how to exactly, capture what that is, other than like I've been saying, man, it's a vibe, and it is something, I guess, that's cultivated, that is created, and a big part of the Christmas dildo, is the metaphor, right? It's the Christmas dildo, the yearly Christmas dildo is the metaphor that so much of this culture that we're taught from early age, especially as boys, is fucking things, fucking people, and so the Christmas dildo teaches us that, if you're out there trying to fuck everything, you've got to start by fucking yourself, and when you fuck yourself, you could see that it doesn't necessarily feel so good, and so then it depends on how you like it, I guess. It depends on what's going on. But
go ahead.
if the intent is to fuck, right, at times it could not be very pleasant, right? But if the intent is to make love to yourself, you work it a little different. And then once you know how to use your inner Christmas dildo, you know how to make love to yourself, and then you can go out and make love to others. And then you can give them the opportunity, because some people might need a good dildo fucking. But it's understood. It's just not the go-to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I see I understand what you're saying, for sure. You have to. There's certain things you have to do. If you know what you're doing, you could probably handle yourself quite nicely.
Yeah, and check it out with yourself first, and see how it feels if you did it to you.
Totally.
That's the lesson there. But yeah, those the open collaborative environment that happened was really a blessing to me, because it did allow me to write and try things out that were very of the moment. I would write stuff, minutes before going on stage, and I guess the most prep I would have would be 15 minutes before the show, just running some jokes by. And I know if I got Stilly belly laughing, I was like, okay, I'm on the right track.
You're in a good place. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll go into the process a little bit more, because the job that I had, because it's something that takes my mind off of, zipping around and popping souls off the planet, waking people up inside of their bodies. And so the pineal gland is a very sensitive thing. You can't just jam a crowbar in there and wake somebody up inside of their life.
Sure.
You have to gently massage it and caress it and take your time with it. And, because it's hard to find. But when you find the pineal gland and you massage it appropriately, people can wake up inside of their bodies in the moment that they're in. Because so many people are stuck as somebody in some place and sometime somewhere. And as soon as I can get them to become nobody in no place, nowhere, and no time, then I know I'm dealing with a lucid person, and they're ready to hear the show.
You've had all of humanity to kind of cherry pick great orators and stand-up philosophers and even comedians of the recent bias. Is there any people that you took any creative liberties, or what do you call it? Took creative license from?
So you're saying what has inspired me to kind of go off on some things
on a human level? I know there's, I'm sure we're very self-centered humans in that regard of, we did everything.
I mean,
I'm a humanist myself, so I kind of like to take, we should take credit for some of the stuff we did, but I'm sure there's like a Cicero or a God, who else? or a Mark Antony, or I'm using the Romans for now, but I'm sure.
Just something to pull off of. Well, I mean, I think that the greatest humans I'm inspired by that do attempt to put words to the wordless, describe the ineffable, which is in part what I attempt to do, which is to say, when you're doing it correctly, you're pointing at the moon. It's important to say there's nothing to be gotten from this. There's no one up at the end of this game that I'm playing right now.
Right.
Yeah. So the one up game is what everybody's currently playing. So I would say, in answer to your question, that it's arriving at the lake or the ocean, which means these words and philosophies that have been said over the year that point to the moon. They're all rivers. They're all rivers, whether it comes from a Buddha or a Jesus or Mark Antony, Caesar, or if somebody's but I think they were more playing a game, those last two. But
Sure,
I'm
sure.
interested in people who are pointing people to the ocean. And all great religions are rivers to get you there, but the point is not to stay on the boat that gets you to the ocean. The point is to get off of that boat eventually. And people who've always inspired me, who do point at the moon, are the Krishnamurtis and the Alan Wattses, and Joe Dispenza, these Rupert Sheldrake, cats who are trying consciously to lift the wool over an identity's eyes, so that identity to become what they are essentially. Jim Carrey, for God's sakes, And if you can shed your identity and become your essence, you don't have to cling on to that damn thing all the way to the grave, because when we're born, we're pushed off of this precipice, this cliff, and we're free falling, and it feels good to cling on to that blankie, but the blankie and you are free falling. You can let it go and still allow yourself to be, and you're still going to the same place, I hate to tell everybody, but nobody's escaping me. It's the great paradox of life. And that's the essence of, I guess, my answer to that question is, my goal is, to not compare, to liberate, to not conceal, to reveal, so that we can heal from our identities, And so, in that being said, there, like I mentioned, there's no light will win, there's no right will win or wrong will win. There's no wrong way to do it, and there's no right way to do it. You're actually already doing it. I just would hope to illuminate to someone that you are doing it, because so many of us don't know we are.
I like it.
Being. Bro, listen, man, I'm answering the question. I'm coming out of tax season. These numbers are going down.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's rough.
I mean, Mother Space is breathing down my neck. I'm doing my best.
You're doing wonderful. Commendable, even. Before I move on to my other questions that are not necessarily planets related, this is more of like when you get an entity or a continuum or any of these things, you have a bunch of other questions. I'm a curious party. I can get Neil deGrasse Tyson to tell me, but it's a little harder to sometimes he's like, it's great to know that you don't know, and I'm down with that. But when you have someone who can possibly give you some insight, I go for it. And before we do that, I want to see if there's any crazy if you could shed some light, or if you have any unique Alhambra party stories that you've chronicled in your experience with the Planets crew.
Oh man, I mean, I've had some. I've went over to the house, I think, once to host something. Father Time. But it's like I mentioned before. There's something being sculpted over there, which is what I think I've been alluding to throughout. You're saying, how do you collaborate? It's this internal thing I'm talking about, a shedding of, to allow for a container for magic to happen, for the unmanifested to happen, right? And I feel like that house did provide a container for magic and for the unmanifested. My favorite places in the universe have always had a welcome mat, you know. A lot of people put a welcome mat in front of their door, but there's always like, oh, but you got to cut your hair this way or you got to do that. But there was a true welcome mat there, you know, for anyone, and a mouthpiece for anyone to kind of have difficult conversations, to speak your mind, to tell the jokes, to get the laughs going. And that's a container that took everybody to create, so no one can really take credit for it. But I had some good times. My memories are more of the shows, you know, like,
okay, yeah,
man, I remember the Satellite. We had a residency for Halloween, and my favorite song is Some Fires. And for some reason, it always, you know, even as a cosmic entity, brought me to tears. Those vibrations, because of the highest vibrational force that's in the universe that a being can occupy, and the highest vibrational force. And this is where you can say right or wrong. It's just a choice, you know. But the highest vibrational force you can occupy is gratitude. And when you are occupying gratitude, so much floods in, you know, so much opportunity, bliss, laughter. Like, and so at the end of every show, we'd usually end on Some Fires. And I was filled with so much gratitude to be able to look across at those people I was working with true appreciation. I think that's rare, of each individual person there, you know, throughout the years, like people who would zip in and out. You know, Nikki was like, you know, Crunk and Cotton and the Zemed, like I'm going to forget people, but you know, Tasha and Mel and Al and Bryce and Joe, and like throughout the years, Ben, like, and like in the people in the audience who would come, and ZB, and like taking photo, like there so much, like I would just be filled with so much gratitude. It was overwhelming, and it brought me to tears every time we played. And because I just feel like the blessings were over, like the cup would, like my inner dildo, like I had filled myself with so much love, I was ready to spread it out into the world. And that, I think,
it was just
oh man, a place and time of just great people, great vibes. Yeah. Like, man, absolute gratitude for every person who made it happen every time.
I'm so happy. You know, I'm really appreciating the comparison of gratitude to a prostate massage. It's really,
I mean,
you know, I find that really moving. No, in a very serious way. People don't understand what that feels like and how awesome that is. And I can't believe I'm actually promoting this on air. But if you can go find a way to get certain sensitive places. If you get those sensitive places rubbed the right way, it really feels awesome.
And it's vulnerable and it's ugly. You know, it's vulnerable and it's ugly.
You have to scrape through the shit.
To do the shows that we were doing too, it was like nobody was tiptoeing around. It's vulnerable and it's ugly, and your asshole's showing, and you're having a great time. No, but I mean the metaphor there. I mean, it's really odd, but it takes a lot of work to do that too. I mean, Tashi and Mel and like the choreographing of the dances, the practices, the sweat equity that goes into it, the sweat equity that goes into putting on something to where you know that you can rip it. It's called the broccoli effect. You know, like. Everybody wants to eat Twinkies all the time. Nobody wants to eat fucking broccoli. But if you eat broccoli, you're going to be stronger. and it tastes like shit. But at the end of the day, you're going to have those moments of gratitude. And so that was also speaking to the hard work that the band put into it, Cotton and arranging the music, Dino and man, it was just, man, there's just so much gratitude, man. Great people, you know. It made me. It really. It got me out of that shit job of building solar for those kids. I mean, those hospitals, like garbage and like wasteful work, and got me into doing. I was in the pocket, baby. I was in the pocket. Is all of this landing?
Totally. This, like I said, this has been a very, very anticipated podcast for me. And to get it straight from the horse's mouth, or whatever metaphor you want to use, straight from. And I don't know if you know this, I'm a New Year's baby, so there's a little bit of I get your entity and your commercialization of New Year's Day is kind of synonymous with.
Oh wow!
There's a slight correlation between that I can relate to in that, even in that commercial sense. So I've been this has been really great so far.
Well, happy belated birthday!
Well, thank you.
So close. Yeah, I mean, and that's the funny thing. All of it, all the choices that were made were just so unnatural, and I really do think it is the patriarchal aspects, and that's not a knock. The male domination of this culture has led us to where we're at, and it's all not good, pretty much, because the moon is the appropriate clock of time. It's also connected with the feminine. There was a very conscious choice to choose the sun. Now we got these fucking leap years. None of it syncs up. But man, that moon, 12 cycles like clockwork, like it makes there was a conscious choice to move away from nature. And I remember when they banished Lucifer from heaven, and Lucifer was the most, dedicated one, but also the symbol of nature. So nature was banished from the kingdom of heaven, AKA our minds. And we started to treat Mother Earth like she was this thing that we could just demolish and take advantage of. And, but she was wearing that dress, I guess, would be the counter argument. I mean, she's beautiful.
I mean, I don't know if Russia still uses the lunar calendar.
Hey, I'm going to get canceled by the end of this interview. That black hole is coming for me.
Yeah, at the time of this recording, I just heard that news story about Dr. Seuss cancel. They took out. They're not selling 6 of their books, and I don't know if anybody knows. It's the 6 books. I've only heard of one of the books, and I've only read one of the books. They actually are not selling. So there's a little bit of a. I think there's a level of. There's a monetization of cancel culture. People are complaining about it up and down.
Starbelly snitches, bro.
But
Starbelly snitches.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. This cancel culture thing really pisses me off because, it gets my shekels up in the fact that it's such a distraction from the actual people who need to be canceled, like the actual people who are doing wrong in the world. People are going to behave as they are according to the dictates of their environment. And we're in the process of hopefully getting better, and hopefully time is up, and some of our focus moves towards female leadership and feminine leading and feminine structures, which is not women in pantsuits behaving like men. It is true femininity,
right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it is totally. Compassionate living. It is listening. It is emotional, and it is intuitive, and it's messy, and it's more beautiful, like those band parties. But the cancel culture aspect of it, for me, is a distraction to the people going to be able to co-opt that when they actually do something horrendous and they need to be held accountable. And also, we can't be holding people accountable for things they did in the past. I mean, if so, then everybody I see is shitting their pants, because at one point in their life, they were shitting their pants. It's like, get it together, kid.
Because they were doing human things.
No, because when they were toddlers, they were wearing dighties and they were walking around, and they need to be held accountable for that if we're going to have a true account, you pants shitter. I'm working on that joke, but I think there's something there.
I'll let you know. I appreciate you wood shedding it on me if you want.
Yeah, I'm just taking it out of the wood.
I'll be your huckleberry on that. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I there's I think there's to what extent I think there's a level of we talk about on the media, if you will, if in the negative connotation of that term, there's a level of we're losing to a degree. There's hype words and there's trend words and there's almost memes of the sort where they become trigger warnings for but that'll catch fire on internet wise or talking point wise.
Yeah,
so they're really more talking points. Like, for example, this Dr. Seuss story. Dr. Seuss did it. No one told them, like the estate or whatever, the people that run Dr. Seuss's catalog, which I think is with their in-house with the estate. They decided to do it. No one else told them to do it. And they're like, it's the 6 books that no one ever reads. It's not Cat in the Hat. It's not Hop on Pop. It's not Yertle the Turtle. It's nothing of these, like some of those stories that teach human lessons. They're not. There's nothing in there that there's nothing. There's levels of like so it's not exactly. They're not canceling themselves. They're like tweaking, and
and also
it's
like
decision.
You know what will do that? People won't buy the damn book. Like, why do you got to make a thing to say like it's the old? If you don't like it, don't buy it. And also, if you do buy it, you're going to have consequences for your actions. You
have to think about it.
So, but to be able
that's
to
a negative stereotype.
To be able to say
that now.
Yeah, exactly. We behave now as we should now, and learning, because there is an account that needs to be taken and a reckoning that needs to happen, and it is happening. And this is the growing pains part of it. But I'm a big fan of. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Muppets. I don't know. There was a whole thing about that, and I know. Kim Zeeby and I talked about the Muppets. We compared PLaNETS to the Muppets, and that was around the time it was just announced that the Muppets were coming back to Disney Plus for streaming. So I remember reading that was at this point. By the time this podcast comes out, it'll probably be well past the trending topic of that. But I watched the fact that Disney was not going to, like, they were saying this, they were showing, a disclaimer that there's negative stereotypes in the Muppet Show, and it was like a 10-second disclaimer. Now it's only 18. It's like, it's my point of all this is that people are making, there's people on the right that are making a huge, or right of center, that are making a bigger deal than it actually is. And there's also people that are making it, and the fact that it's also making it less of a deal. Like, there are people that are trying to make. So there's only 18 episodes of the Muppet Show that have that disclaimer on it, and it's also Jim Henson's intent, I guarantee you, was not to be offensive, and all that. I mean, it was a blue. There's like a blue Muppet with a Turkish, like Oriental Turkish garb on it. Like, as if it was a stereotype.
The Muppets blue. WWF, for God's sakes. I mean, what are you gonna do, man? I mean, I hate to tell people, but you're gonna be offended. Like, what are they gonna do? They're gonna cancel Death next? It's like, this is not a pleasant experience. I hate to break it to everybody. Like, life is kind of hard, and the sad unintended consequence is that this isn't a popular issue. Like, 80% of people don't like political correctness. They want to be able to make mistakes. The important thing is to forgive people and be open
Mhm.
to
Yes,
allowing them
yes.
to redeem their apprehensible behavior once they know better. And so like this is going to push people further to the right. Like it's going to have but also that's going to be the lesson that needs to be learned. When people start do-gooding,
Sure.
it's lock the doors, man, because there's trouble a brewing, man. Any type of it's yeah, reversing to back what I was saying with getting to the lake, you know, we're going to make every up down and every down up. We're going to make every dark light and every light dark. Well, good luck, my friend. That's a wild game you're playing, and it's really far out.
I don't know if what you've heard from about this podcast and what I've explained about, you know, where I come from in our group of friends that we've called the Beef and Lifestyle, which I believe the planets people kind of exhibit that same trend in a different, you know, separately incubating that concept. But I've always thought there should be a level of apathy towards, you know, like certain elements. And I don't mean that we don't care, like actively not caring, but passively not caring. Like it's like
Yo.
I think people would want to believe, like, for example, like in like I and maybe I'm stepping on toes here, but I would like to think that everybody would like to be treated with the same amount of normalcy and not caring. Not caring, but like if kind of the same, like in a way, and that if I had a special, or if I had a different lifestyle approach, that I would like to be treated like everybody else, and that would require the attention to be dropped to it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two things that I kind of think equate it to is that, I don't know, I think you're talking about something different than this.
Possibly.
But as far as having a level of apathy to extreme behavior, it's like it's the blackout drunk guy at the bar. I mean, yeah, sure, maybe you want to go over and try to teach him what he's doing, but be there with your friends and have a good time. The only thing that's going to come out of that is a fist fight, engaging with that energy and trying to make a big deal about it. Like these people who are on the social media platforms, who have a microphone now, who are trolling people and saying, "Oh, don't the woke police." It's the same version of the drunk guy at the bar. I mean, they got a bone to pick that has something to do with something else, and
totally,
you know, engaging with that is only going to lead to more fear, hate, anxiety, conflict. The second point of what you're saying of normalizing normalizing kind of aspects of people's identities that they don't have any choice over, or skin pigmentation. Like,
sure,
I agree. The big however, though, is that there is a system of policies that are at play that are keeping people from having equal footing, and that needs to change. Absolutely, unequivocally.
Totally. That's not my.
But you know, we're all. I think, you know, I honestly, after being around for billions of years, I do believe that the will and the goodness, the bell curve is curving towards the goodness and I would say harmony and peace of man. But in the immediate now and future, it's going to get a hell of a lot worse before it gets better. A lot worse. There is a reckoning. There's rotten fruit, and fresh fruit is being stacked on top of it. And unless you get rid of that rotten fruit below, the rot just seeps to the top. And America is like the king of layering on a new layer of fruit. But we must look at what's been done and what continues to be done to our fellow human beings, that is oppressing them based off of no choice of their own. It has to be done. I mean, Father Time, like I am a civil rights advocate. I do support Black Lives Matter. I do like, bro, I've been around billions of years and I know better, you know? And so, you know, at the same time I'm going to the lake, it doesn't mean we're not meant to have empathy and compassion and look at somebody who has a bum deal
Right.
and say, enough. It's enough, man. It's enough.
Yeah, totally. That's kind of where I have to be careful about the apathy line, because it connotatively speaking can be interpreted in a way that could not be.
Well, because you're speaking energetically, like, because energetically, like the animal kingdom, a dog doesn't look and say that's a fox terrier and that's a pit bull and that's a bloodhound.
Right.
An animal, a dog looks at another dog and says, that's a nervous dog, that's an anxious dog, and that's a calm dog. Like, and we're the exact same, but human beings have split it into a race thing, and it's complete horseshit. And so that apathy comes from a universal truth, but unfortunately, the backdrop on which that lays is a system that oppresses, and it's benefiting white people.
Yeah.
So that system has to change through policies, so that we can be jiving and making music with each other and being stronger together. But that it's got to change. I mean, the what's happened to the Native brothers and sisters and our BIPOC. I mean, that is a real thing, and I'm willing to swing my cosmic nuts behind it and put it on the line and say, hey, man, I'm impartial about a lot of things, but I get you hit one of my hot buttons.
Okay.
No, but it's good. Hey, listen, we're on a podcast. We got to mix it up.
Oh, totally. Yeah. No, by all means. Like I got. That's the fact that you went into a disapproval of cancel culture and then also a pro Black Lives Matter sentiment means there's dimension, and we can talk about it. I think that's totally good.
I think that's the part of it that's been, as far as me, as I'm concerned, is there is nuance, and you can have opinions on things that are nuanced.
Yeah,
you can hold space for those things. You're
sounding awfully like a human being, man. I don't know.
You're right, man. Well,
careful, man.
But this is also my meat stick, kind of. It's like my meat suit. I'm filtering this through a mind right now, but I hear, I in the primordial ooze of the truth, it is what it is. But like I said earlier about the trap that was set and people choosing identity, it's the same thing. It boggles my mind that this would choose to be ignored for so long. It boggles my mind.
Yeah.
As when I have to use a voice and a mind to be able to communicate on a podcast.
And this might be the point where I can clarify that apathy line again one more time, just so I just kind of came into my head where I think that there shouldn't be like really an opposition. There shouldn't be any really reason to be opposing certain things. That makes any sense in that regard.
No, so I think yours was very vague, and maybe I was extrapolating off of that my own thing.
Yeah, for sure. So, and I'm not. But this is not a debate between you and me. Yeah. So my point was more of for the viewers out there who like if that becomes the apathy, you shouldn't care about this. And no, you shouldn't really. There's no real reason to be in opposition to something like transgender. LGBTQ, like there shouldn't be a I'm against that. It should be like, okay, go for it. It's great.
Yeah, man.
If that makes any sense. On this planet,
right? On this planet, people are it's appling people, and people want to live a life of value. Let them live it, man.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think that's what you were saying. I just, I think my, as a entity and a concept having to be trapped in a flesh suit to come on a podcast.
Totally. Yeah.
Sometimes a mind gets involved, man.
It's okay.
A mind will find a way.
It's all good. I think I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah,
I do
no
have
doubt.
some questions. I think this is the point where I can ask you questions that I have prepared
Yeah, please.
for Father Time, the entity. How close did Star Trek get with the Q continuum?
I can't believe you're dropping Star Trek questions on Father Time. Why?
It was with Q specifically, with the TNG's Q continuum. Is that did they get close?
I mean, time itself is so on a nanoscopic level to be able to enter into those things. You would have to take your consciousness down to such a small, tiny nanoparticle to be able to travel through those portals. If this answers your question.
Okay.
Because I don't know specifically what they were laying down, but if you're dealing with being able to control time, meeting it on a material level isn't going to work out for you. You can be traveling anywhere you want to from exactly where you're sitting in time, but it does require you to take your consciousness down to a nano level.
Okay. As far as Q the character, though.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
Okay.
You know, I mean,
it's okay.
I've been around billions of years. I was more of a Star Wars
man.
guy, man. You know.
Okay. All right. Good to know. I can edit that part out if you really want.
Yeah, we'll edit that part out.
Don't tell anybody that the Father Time hasn't seen Star Trek. But
I dug the movies.
Okay. What's your current plan to defeat Tom Brady? It's not working out right now.
Touchdown Tom is I think like 40% lizard if they took. So, I mean, when you're splicing genes just willy-nilly, you're going to get a quarterback like that. And you just got to step out of his way and understand that there are other things at play.
Okay, because I mean, like, you are so far undefeated, but he's the one that's pulling up the most. He's putting up the biggest fight.
I mean, the guy, like I said, I mean, he's unstoppable. He blinks sideways. He's got gills behind his ears.
Okay, so all right. Well, okay. We
I don't know if that answered your question. I mean, the guy's good at throwing a ball.
You're familiar with the phrase "Father Time is undefeated in sports," right? That saying that's come your way once or twice.
I see. You know, I've spent the last few months zipping so many people off of this planet. I can't even talk. I can't even think about anecdotal stuff right now.
Okay, all right.
I mean, it's been a weird year for me. It's been so damn busy.
And I don't know how long that phrase has been around either, so it could be, you know, if you don't have enough.
They all become one to me, you know. I mean, so much of a mind wants to avoid the fact that there that there is no beginning and no end. There is no game clock. We invent these silly sayings, but in all actuality, it's all happening at once. All of it.
Okay. All right.
Tom Brady's already lost. And he just won another Super Bowl in the same damn breath. If you don't understand what I'm saying, you're listening.
I got you. I'll roll with that. Who is your favorite existential absurdist, and which one got it most right?
I mean, again, getting it right, you know, but who was pointing at the moon? Who was on the right track? As far as letting go, stripping loose, I love Krishnamurti's thoughts on authority, and I really dig Alan Watts's dismantling of sense. You know, anybody who's breathing on this planet who is in the moment that they're in is a hero to me, because so many of us are in our fucking heads.
Any thoughts on Camus, Sartre? Sartre?
You see, I mean, you talk like Descartes and his bullshit. Like they all got it. They all got it. They all got it wrong. As soon as you put it into words, you've already missed the point. That's what I would say. A philosophy in and of itself has already stepped one move to the side away from being. You are now engaged with a conceptual life. You are building a set of rules. I dig the Stoics though, man. They were pretty cool cats.
I'm an Epicurus fan myself. I feel like that seems to be kind of similar to. It seems like a good but I like Stoics. I think it's important, especially now.
Yeah,
especially now.
I think so, man. I think so. It's an interesting thing to be able to just bear witness. I think anybody who espouses no accumulation. There you go. I'm a fan of that.
Okay.
Not accumulating anything. And if you can arrive at not accumulating things in your life, write your own book. Right?
Yeah. Now we kind of addressed.
You're going to cut this whole damn interview. I know it. Is they not one of these damn answers makes sense.
I should have probably prefaced with the general knowledge that you may have seen Star Trek: The Next Generation, or maybe we're familiar. The first two.
Well, the thing is, I've seen it all, man. And
true.
That's why. That's why.
It's whether you can contain it or not. I suppose it's the.
Yeah, man. The problem is I've already let it all go.
That's that's okay. That's okay. And I mentioned the because one of the questions was the best multiverse to be a part of currently, but we kind of just you kind of mentioned that earlier that it's
having access to it. I mean, yeah. I could tell you, I got the answer to it's this one. Just a little wink and a nod.
All right.
It's this one.
Yeah.
It's whether or not people are going to realize it,
Diggage. Okay, I think the one
that's the other thing is like, sorry, but people are like, what happens when your energy vector shoots out of your flesh suit, and what's after this whole dance? Let me tell you, man, these are the good times. These are the good times. So know that if you're in suffering right now and you're listening to this is the good stuff. So enjoy it. Perspective is an incredible thing. And the shedding of, is a powerful tool. So as a great man once said, don't worry, be happy. There you go.
All right. And if you personally had to deify only one person, would it be Socrates or Jesus? But I'm thinking you're going to go with the Buddha.
I dig Buddha. Like you're saying, like all right, to deify. Why does one have to be deified?
I don't know.
Like,
it's
why would one have to be put
because
above
we
another?
Can.
But
it's a hot take
just
question.
Because we can't.
This is rapid fire.
See, you're gonna have a hard time with me getting to answer questions. You're gonna already see.
That's okay. This has been.
but this is what it is. What would I deify? I would deify a bee. Those fuckers are cool. They're a lot cooler than people think. There'd be a lot less shit around without bees. Think about that, man. You wouldn't have shit without bees. Fruits gone.
Yeah.
Flowers gone. Done. Bye bees. And they're getting. I deify those fucking bees, man. I deify rocks, dude. I deify trees. You know how slow moving the energy, like rocks are living beings, and they're so moving so slow.
I think part of my question of the previous question was basically because you were there, man. You were there. You witnessed.
Oh,
you got
like
to see,
you're just saying, like what when I saw
know,
when I saw some shit go down. Like, was there a time when I
can only imagine. You're one of the few people.
You want me to give attaboys?
Because
I'll give some attaboys.
But because here's the deal, and I guess this is why I'm going with Socrates or Jesus, is because all our accounts of them are basically secondary accounts or primary accounts written years later. So it's like we have a mythology based on some of these people, but not eyewitnesses. And you were there.
Writing a book about Jesus and the cat. The actual cat, was a Gnostic, and it was a really wonderful thing to see, because you see a Gnostic Christian, as we would normally call it today, sees the breathing God in everything. So everything that they would interact with, everything this cat, and I will give him an attaboy, and I do deify. Okay. It wasn't, white Jesus Christ, I can tell you that much. But the actual cat, who a lot of these all origin stories are written from thousands of miles away. They all have the Immaculate Conception. They all have these similar themes, and to the journey of what that means, is more of a metaphor for what I was speaking of earlier, which is this thing that is born of us, which we are not a part of. Like, who watches the watcher? Who's watching your mind?
Mm-hmm. That's a Star Trek episode.
Is it your mind, or is it who's watching your mind, and who's watching that person? And when you get back far enough, you begin to understand what you've learned and are able to live peacefully in the present moment. And so the being on the cross and being reborn is a shedding of the identity, but the actual cat, that was the Gnostic gentleman with 12 people who rolled around. The core philosophy, or if you want to, we'll put some words to it, was that he was interacting with God in every single thing he did. So you can imagine, if you're interacting with the divine in everything you interact with, you're back to that gratitude place I was talking about. And so it wouldn't even occur to you to take it to cause violence to someone, or you would be so in tune with it that you would be in the presence of a divine in everything you met. So your choices would be grace by default. And man, that cat was a boring guy.
No, beautiful.
I mean, but Joan of Arc, man, there was a cat. Dug her. But yeah, go ahead,
nice.
Man.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, because I'm a big history buff, so this is kind of like another reason for me to, like, pick your brain on some of these things, being that you witnessed and retained the information. And
a lot of the assholes are the ones who were canonized. I mean, Napoleon and Genghis Khan, and people just ruthlessly slaughtering people. I mean, they were playing a far out game, but damn, they get canonized for it. It's an odd world we live in, and the ones who are the real unsung heroes are the ones who wake up every day at 5 a.m. and go about their day, and it could be bagging your groceries, and it's the most graceful person you've ever met, and a lot of people won't even look them in the eye, and that's the heartbreaking thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's history.
Oh man, you hit me every time.
He scrubbed all the files on this podcast.
Oh well, I mean, I could. The thing is, if I start refuting it, just to keep the conversation going, I start sounding more like a dick, which is okay, I guess. But
no.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah. I mean,
there is no song, right? We're just dancing, man. You
Totally,
know, I
totally.
mean, I've got it. I've been around for billions of years. I got a different perspective. You know?
Yeah, I gotcha. I mean, we'll all hang out eventually, you know, in your good graces. But the anything nice you want to say about your vessel, Mr. Patrick?
I've met that cat a couple of times. I don't know him.
Okay.
You know, and a lot of people try to put me in the same, like, just I don't want to be associated with him.
I mean,
No,
I haven't really met him, so I can't blame him either. Maybe you're right. I have to take your word for it.
but yeah, I've never met the cat,
Okay.
to be honest. But I, you know, I guess he's all right. I don't know. I guess
Is it like a parasitic relationship?
I guess I won't speak ill of a man I've never met.
Okay.
But you know, I guess what are we closing now? Is that what we're doing?
I think we're getting towards the end. I think if there's anything you want to, you know, if there's anything you'd like to talk about, I'd be happy. I'll
parting wisdom, parting ideas. I just want, you know, it's been a podcast. It's been a little time. We've been jamming. We've been playing jazz. I just would invite everybody to take all that mind minutia that we've gathered during this, and I want to flush it down through our necks and into our hearts. And from that inner piece of shit, like a garden, I want to see your heart blossom and turn on. Okay? That's what I would like to leave everyone, is with their heart on. I want to see you with your heart on. What? Oh.
Sorry. That's
I mean, I don't know how to put it in a bow in any other way than that, you know?
Well, Mr. Time, it's been, I'm not worthy, I guess, and it's been an honor, and I'd love to have you back on the show whenever you like.
Hey, this was a great experience. I'm sorry I didn't have answers to the questions, a lot of them, but
it's okay. Maybe Neil deGrasse Tyson does.
Yeah, go to people who understand. Like, my big mission is to ununderstand. My big mission is I'm on a cosmic unlearning, brother.
Copy.
But this was a blast.
Excellent.
And I also want to thank everybody who was a part of PLaNETS, and that's been a chapter of my life that has brought me too much joy to even be able to put into words. And everybody who's been involved is like, and this is no bullshit. I mean, man, what a pleasure and what an honor to work with those people and to be able to share the stage and share time with them, to share me with them. I tried to use your
I know.
For the me being, you know, I don't know. But that's the truth.